Welcome to DG360 and DG in the Morning, a variety show brought to you by you, the algorithms that pick really cool things on the internet to watch, and we watch them together. We comment, we laugh, we cry, emotions abound. Today, we're going to watch a video from VoidyVids, friend of the channel here, Board Gamer. So super nice coming in with a raid earlier. Thank you so much, Board Gamer. And this video is entitled 5 Things to Turn Star Citizen into an Actual Game. I will list off my 5 right now. I would say at the top of the list is stability. Stabilitize, we call it. Performance and server meshing all tied together. That's number 1. Can I get an amen for that? I think that's probably on the top, okay? Number 2, I would say true persistence, persistent hangers. Welcome, Rob Wilson. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for pushing that follow button. So, okay, second, true persistence, persistent hangers. Third, I would say better flight. I know we're experimenting with master modes, but they need to keep tweaking it. I want more inertia, more gravity when flying. I think we can all kind of agree to that. Economy. Okay, what am I on? Am I on 4? I'm on 4. Economy. Let's say economy manufacturing. We need Tony Z to appear from behind the curtain. Tell us what's going on in relation to server meshing, because we know that's tied to it. That's 4. 5 would be probably more systems or places to explore, things to do. But, you know, I'm all about MMO sandboxes and just dynamic things happening anyway. So, you know, I'm kind of happy with that. But yeah, I'd say those are my top 5. Let's see what VoidyVids are.
We're on our way to Picker's Field in a Drake Cactus Blue, and as you know, all good ships have a name, so I decided to call this one
It's been 84 years
since our last epic space adventure, and this destroyed Hercules has dropped so much RMC that we're gonna wait for the owner to return and...
Oops.
Oh well, never mind. I guess we'll talk about how Star Citizen 3.23 is slowly adding more mechanics that are more game and less sim. Whether you love or hate scope glint, procedural recoil, dynamic crosshairs, or how master modes is totally changing the way we fly, manage and engage our ships, I find myself asking the most important hypothetical question of the next generation.
Agreed.
If you could add 5 things to Star Citizen as it exists today to make it more of a game, more engaging, more regularly playable, what would they be? This is a hypothetical question, which means it's based on copium, not facts. So let's pretend developing a massively multiplayer online simulation first-person universe space game is easy for the next 8 minutes and won't take another 10 years. I asked this question on a post on YouTube to boost channel engagement. I mean to compare your answers to my indisputably perfect list. So let's begin.
Oh yeah, figures. Stability. He just said stability. That was the first on my list. Oh my God, Voidy. Bless you. This is why Voidy and I get along so well.
Number here is the server FPS. When this number high, game good. When this number low, game bad. We've all heard the legends of how your dad's second cousin, twice removed, logged into Star Citizen one day and ended up on a server with only 3 other players and managed to experience 5 minutes and 12 seconds of pure hyper-responsive server bliss. And the legends are true. When you win the server lottery, your epic space gamer mouse becomes the supple breast of a well-endowed space angel. The game is smooth, everything works, and the NPCs act like any other NPCs from literally any other game, and something whispers in the back of your mind. God fucking damn, do we need server meshing and whatever other server-side performance enhancing drugs that devs can get their hands on. Literally nothing else matters if the game constantly degrades as time goes on, and the server you're on screeches to a grinding halt as the hamster spinning the wheel dies of a massive pulmonary contusion.
Speaking of hamsters, we talked about fauna last night with the Inside Star Citizen review. We talked about the addition of all the new object containers with fauna, with animals. You know, moving forward, it was a good talk. If you missed that on the channel, it was a really fun time last night. By the way, everybody, thank you for making it last night. That was such a good time. We are also having a giveaway here on the channel. Just want to throw that out there. $1,500 haul e-giveaway from Board Gamer, by the way, just to let his audience know who's here right now, who have stayed and have the patience. I'm letting you guys know that we are having a giveaway here. And we would like to thank Grizz for this. He's just awesome, dude.
No one wants to play a barely functional desynchronous mess, and no one outside of the Star Citizen cult, community, will take this game seriously until we get a consistently playable experience. A number of months ago, the first static server meshing tests were performed with very positive results, and I cannot help but feel that this year's the year, right? Like, come on, man, it's gotta be. Please. Back in the before times, in the long ago, at its peak,
I would say Squadron 42 is going to be is pretty close. I think Squadron 42 is closer than we think, and that is going to be huge in terms of development moving forward. On in terms of success as well. How huge? It'd be a nice chunk. It'd be a nice surplus. Perhaps you'd see less ships. I would hope if they make a big chunk of change off Squadron 42, which I think they'll do good. I think they'll do good from Squadron 42. If they do and make that chunk of change, I would hope that the focus maybe would kind of switch a little bit from the copious amounts of ships hitting, but I don't think it will, because they're a team devoted towards it. They'll continue on at the same pace most likely. But like I really want server meshing to be fleshed out. CitizenCon was nice to see, the work there being done. And it was, nice is an understatement. My jaw hit the floor and I was like, wow, this is great. I don't think people understand the scope of the game. I don't think many people understand what they're trying to do. And I don't think that people understand that the tech that they're pursuing is revolutionary. They're literally changing the gaming industry. It's just going to take a long time. It always had this vibe that it was going to, even when I was a backer back in the day, I knew this was going to be a long time. I knew it.
Peak Jumptown 2.0 was basically the best and most organic way to experience everything that Star Citizen was capable of. The insane gameplay possibilities when spaceship, ground vehicle, and feat FPS gameplay all came together surrounding a common goal: acquiring and selling maize. The game had never been more fun. So number 2 on this list of what could make Star Citizen more of an actual game would be a new kind of gold rush. Something that isn't an event that gets turned on every couple of months, but rather something consistently available that has a location that changes, providing a commodity or resource node that is consistently valuable to players, offering that high-risk, high-reward gameplay that many like myself would really appreciate. We've seen attempts in the past to create this type of gameplay, from the SPK rework to Ghost Hollow to Wake of Disaster, but ultimately the lack of incentive and I believe the static nature of these locations tend to give them a short shelf life of
That is such great commentary by Voidy. That is such great commentary.
General player interest. It's arguable whether credits are enough to drive players to a gold rush in the first place, and then the conversation inevitably leans towards reputation-based rewards like gear, skins, and cosmetics. But whatever form that incentive takes, it would make the game more of a game if we had something that really encouraged us to go to a specific location and murder each other and fight epic space adventure wars over some.
I'm going to tell you what that is. It's land ownership. It's land ownership. That is the gold rush, Like land ownership essentially is going to bring about this incentive. Your organization owning land, acquiring land, gaining riches. Like the ultimate gold rush is land ownership.
Something we all actually really care about. The absolute best and most incredible idea I've heard for this type of content came from £10.42. Definitely check him out for Star Citizen performance related and other content, who suggested CIG create a virgin, untouched star system with absolutely no space stations, no cities, and no landing pads, and allowed players to access it. This could be a small system, one planet even.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Ownership, land. Just take a system, make it a test bed, let people go there, and let's have a party. Exactly.
With the ridiculously precious and
you could test land ownership in that system. It could be a test bed literally for land ownership. With all the work that they've done on the map now, my God, could you imagine that if you had more information in the map? I mean, it seems to me like with the UI being upgraded and everything I've played, as like you could actually take a planet and split it up based upon beacons there's a game that I used to play that I don't play anymore called Dual Universe, and you know, accordance with the game mechanics, when you pulled up the map and you put beacons down and you own land, I loved it. You own these little hexagons in the map. It took the map and it split it up into hexagons, and it would show you the open hexagons, like the open amount of land, and the ones that people owned, right? They should have took it a step further, actually, because it'd have been fun to have PvP, but like a lot of people get a little bit iffy with that. But you take a lawless system in Star Citizen, you take planets and you take moons, you open them up, you put like a hexagonal system on it, and you plant a beacon. I mean, many people already bought these beacons ahead of time, but like, let's just say we open it up. Let's make the test bed. Let's put down these beacons and let's fight over shit. You know, a lot of people that aren't into that are going to stay away from that system, and that's fine. If people like PvE, they don't have to worry about it. If people do like PvP, they can go in the system, they can try it out, they can do ownerships. You know, what I would say is your most successful organizations in Star Citizen are not going to be PvP shy. They're the ones who are going to reap the most benefits because they're not afraid to fight, and they will fight over resources, and they will win in terms of value, wealth, in terms of credits, in terms of assets. Those are the organizations that are going to win, are those that do not shy away from it. You know, you want to be PvE organization, you probably still make a lot of money by trading, you know, interpersonal through other organizations, or with Quanta, which is the mechanism in which the economy is going to work, that we definitely need an update from Tony Z on. You still are going to make a lot of money if you're focused on PvE. I just think that, you know, in terms of probability, you're probably going to win the game more if you don't shy away from PvP. So I would love to see people go into a system that's a complete test bed. Right. War never changes. Right. You go in, you fight for these resources, you see who's alpha male. You go in, the organization that has the most effectiveness, and doesn't always have to be the most people. I've seen plenty of organizations, like a lot of people think, oh, well, the number of the organization is all that matters. The more people, obviously that organization is going to win. Yes and no. Like, I've seen a lot of organizations with a third amount of people that are much more effective because the people are much more active in terms of gameplay, and totally own an organization 3 times the size. I saw that in EVE like every single day. You know, so I would like to see that. I would like to see a system that's open up, that's a test bed. I think that would be an excellent gold rush scenario, you know.
Valuable mineable or resource node of some kind, and then just let players sandbox the absolute shit out of it.
I do remember those letters, Axis.
I'm not Warren Buffett, but holy fuck does our ludicrous space game need some kind of economy, even if it's just a weekly reshuffling of the prices of commodities to keep things vaguely interesting and shake up the trading meta of a given patch cycle. A good example is the 3.22 salvage meta. It's great that construction materials became more valuable than the blood of God to incentivize vulture and reclaim a testing of the new salvage mechanics, but if they could manually change the prices of literally anything every 2 weeks or so to diversify gameplay, I think that could go a long way to keep players engaged, at least until we get some form of real, reevaluated and working economy. Traders would appreciate a change of scenery, and pirates wouldn't backspace themselves out of sheer boredom because they've just quantum interdicted their 26th reclaimer within the last 3 hours. Hopefully the 0.1 patch after 3.23's release with cargo missions and more interesting stuff to do at the distribution centers will give us some of this, but anything to help the economy or lack thereof would be great. I find myself logging into Star Citizen on a regular basis, loading up a Cutlass Blue or a Mantis and flying around the system looking for fragile ITC space traders to exploit for 5 seconds of content, only to experience an utter ghost hollow town no matter where we go. No one is doing anything, anywhere, 99% of the time, and then I open up the comms to see a full server of 99 other ludicrous space game enjoyers, and I ask myself, what the fuck are you all doing? Where the fuck are all of you? So number 4 on this list is long-range scanning. We've had some brief mention of probes and how they might form some kind of gameplay loop to gather information about stuff happening far away from wherever you are, but since then I don't think we've been told much. Ultimately, what I think will make Star Citizen more playable, engaging and fun would be some mechanic, be that long-range scanning or otherwise, to gather information on what the fuck is actually going on around the system, so that you can actually find the type of gameplay you want to do in the first place. It's piracy. I want a gameplay loop to find targets for piracy.
That was one of the problems with Elite Dangerous, man. You had to go around like this flat, shallow universe that had like literally no people in it. You would go from system to system to system, and it'd be NPC after NPC after NPC. It was a wasteland of NPCs with like no real people playing. It was so hard to find. Then they introduced fleet. You could fleet up with friends, and that happened. But then it was literally co-op with NPC players, you know, with going against NPC, co-opting with friend, which was fun. But there wasn't a lot of PvP for the people that like the PvP, you know. So you had to go to community stretch, or you had to go to community goals. Or community, I can't remember, they call it a community something. It's been so long since I played Elite Dangerous, but they had like community events, and then at the community events you could find people, and then you could PvP there. But then you felt like a giant asshole because a lot of people didn't ever want to PvP in Elite Dangerous, you know. It was crazy. Like I'm a huge PvPer, and I like it was always like I was like kind of cringing because I'm like, oh shit, none of these people, like there's a 1% player base that likes to PvP in Elite Dangerous, and I just said fuck this, I want the danger. How the irony of Elite Dangerous being called dangerous when there was literally no danger in the game. That in 2014-ish, 15, somewhere thereabouts. That's when I really made the switch from Elite Dangerous to Star Citizen, because I saw the way it was going. I saw when Engineers was released that there wasn't going to be a pursuit after an MMO sandbox, because a lot of people were like, well, DG, this isn't an MMO sandbox. And I'm like, well, it should be. It's a giant universe with like nobody in it. Let's get going. Let's have fun. Let's do things that are dynamic and fun in it. It's what space should be about. And then I realized Star Citizen had this, right? And in the form that it's in, very buggy, but it still had it, right? And so I was like, screw this. I love Elite Dangerous, but it's all elite and no dangerous, unfortunately. And a lot of commanders agreed with me. We see how that's going now. We see how that's basically dead. Now they're selling ships. They're copying Star Citizen's model, which I think is fucking hilarious. They're too late. They're not gonna resurface. They're buried and dead.
And last
the mining is fun. Rob Wilson says, I will give ED one thing. Mining is fun. Yeah. Blowing up rocks. Yeah, the mining is fun. A lot of the game loops inside Elite Dangerous are absolutely fun, Rob. The audio is fun. The flight experience is great. There's a lot of really great things I love about Elite Dangerous. The only thing I don't love is that it's a very shallow, it stretches so far wide across, right? But it's so shallow. There's no depth to it. It's very much A to B fetch quests and not a lot of dynamic things happening at all. I mean, that's the vibe I've always gotten from Elite Dangerous, and it's terrible because I love the audio design. I do love elements of the gameplay, but at the end of the day, it didn't keep my interest. Right, a mile wide and an inch deep. Right, you.
On my list of this totally not filler VoidyVid while I wait to actually get into some good 3.23 gameplay experiences to translate into content. Money sinks.
I noticed because I get a drop in viewers when I talk about that, because there's a lot of commanders out there that get real bitter about it. But you know, like I'm very fair in my analysis. You know, I would say I've said things about Star Citizen in the same manner that Star Citizens get pissed off at me. I mean, I would love Master Modes is okay. It's a step at least from the direction we were in. But in terms of the flight experience of Star Citizen, they definitely need to improve upon it. That's why I put it as one of my 5 things, because that's one of the most important things about a game involving space. You know, you have to make sure these ships feel like they've got the mass. Obviously, in space, that's different. But I mean, when you're talking about atmospheres and planets, you want gravity, you want inertia, you want these things to feel heavy. They literally just, they feel like leaves in the wind. And I'm not talking about the cool kind.
In-game ship prices are skyrocketing in the Lumine / already here 3.23 patch, and I believe that the more money sinks we have and the more expensive that they are, the better. A wipe is not looking likely for 3.23, and from patch cycle to patch cycle, the average Star Citizen finds themselves absolutely drowning in Scrooge McDuck levels of credits, and this already pretty meaningless currency becomes even more meaningless. So the last item on this list would be to make absolutely everything more expensive, from repairs to refueling to cruise lux, and then on top of that, make insurance claims have a base premium cost that goes up every time you need to reclaim your ship.
I agree with that, because then more people would be conscious of of the consequences of their decisions, of their actions, of their choices. I absolutely agree with what he's saying right there.
CIG have in the past increased the timers to claim ships, which basically set the community on fire for a while. And while I believe this was a step in the right direction, I feel that a consistently increasing and serious cost to your basic claim, not the expedited claim, every time you need to claim a ship would make for a great money sink, equivalent to literally any other game. Dying should cost you. Dying in succession should cost you more. Speaking of dying, they should make it an insanely high cost for all the 3D meat printers littered throughout Stanton. Respawning should cost an arm and a leg, and I feel this would be a good middle ground before we start seeing whatever the hell this is going to be come into the game. Thank you, channel patrons and channel members, for all your support. Your incredible generosity continues to blow me away. Thinking of pledging to this ludicrous space game? Then use one of the referral codes on screen now for a free 5,000 starting credits. If you enjoy my content and are interested in supporting
that was really good. Let's get back to the morning show.